Within the next period of time, we as a center, as a Sangha, will be receiving a tremendous amount of teaching. For the next month, starting a week from today, these Rinpoches that were described by Shelley in her opening announcements will be coming to the center. One is Yangtang Rinpoche, and the other is the Venerable Gyaltru Rinpoche. Gyaltru Rinpoche is one of my root gurus, and he is to me everything that anyone could possibly be. He's everything to me. He is a throne holder in this lineage, and he is the heart of my heart, and I could offer you nothing better than to meet him and to get to know him. When one meets a Rinpoche such as that, one has the opportunity to view that experience in more than one way. One way, of course, would be through correct view, by understanding that this Rinpoche functions as a door to liberation, in that he or she provides, in this case it's a he, provides the opportunity to achieve realization. He provides the opportunity to practice by conferring the teachings and also the empowerments and providing the correct commentary and understanding. He provides the opportunity to practice as well by propagating the Dharma and by creating the environment in which to practice, such as building a temple or a place of practice. He has done all these things and continues to do all these things in the most outstanding and miraculous way. But one can also view this experience in a very ordinary way, and that way is a mistake. One can look at him and think, he walks on two legs just like anyone else. One can look at him and think, he looks just like any other man. One can look at him and think, he makes jokes. He must be pretty ordinary. Or he has an amazing sense of humor. He looks like everyone else. He just acts like everyone else. He cuts up and kids around. So this can't be so hot. A lot of people really like to see the lamas acting very elegant and different from others, separating themselves in some way. And he doesn't do that. He's very humble. And also one can look at him and one can think that because of his humbleness, his humility, that there can't be much to him. If you ask him what particular talents he has, he'll most likely say none, and then make a joke. That's the way he is. But I, for one, would have no faith in any Lama that claimed himself to be anything in particular. The Lamas that are my root gurus, the Lamas that I have the closest relationship with, convey themselves in a very ordinary way. They are very humble. And the reason for that is that their main goal is not to inflate their egos. Why would they want to do that? Or to make you feel separate from them. Why would they want to do that? To be a great being or to be a remarkable person, no matter what your stature happens to be, to make any real claim for yourself, serves no purpose whatsoever. I always view with surprise and wonder how many teachers in this country associated with Eastern traditions make claims for themselves as being enlightened or empowered in some particular way. The Lamas that I know in my tradition, who are the purest and who are considered to be living Buddhas by others, who are considered to be Dharmakaya Lamas, that is to say, inseparable from the primordial wisdom state, or Lamas that take no notice of their position and their stature and make no claim for themselves whatsoever. And he is like that. If you have the good fortune to meet him, I hope sincerely that you are not fooled by that facade. He has accomplished a great deal in his life up until this point. He continues to accomplish every moment. He has hooked many students into the Dharma with his humor and with his humble actions. He has brought about the pacification of many obstacles within the lives of students, and also the relief and joy and healing of the minds and hearts of many students by his humor and by his tendency to act ordinary enough to make you feel truly comfortable with him and at home. In that sense, he is a great healer. I know that he has provided that service for me. He is a remarkable man, and if you don't understand that, even if you don't understand that he is more than a remarkable man, but more that he is an extension of Guru Rinpoche's miraculous compassion, appearing in the world now in a form that we can understand, in a language that we can speak and hear. If we understand that, then we've accomplished something already. We have begun, through that understanding, to pave the way toward recognizing the nature of our own minds, because that is another service that a true Lama will provide. By giving us a place to recognize that nature, he or she gives us a place to recognize the nature of our own minds. But again, the opportunity is there to mistake him, because he seems ordinary, but he is not. I have never met Yangtang Tulku Rinpoche, but I have come to understand that he is an extraordinary emanation. He is an emanation of a Terton. He is a highly realized Lama. He was imprisoned by the Chinese for 30 years, communist Chinese, for 30 years, and during that time was tortured tremendously, and therefore his health is not good. And when ordinary sentient beings are tortured, they suffer greatly, but when lamas of that caliber are tortured and imprisoned, they achieve realization. And it serves as a catalyst to them. And so in his heart, he considers the Chinese to be his gurus. One has the choice if one is imprisoned in that way. One can either suffer and die, and one can utilize that opportunity and achieve realization. And he chose the latter. So these remarkable men are coming. These remarkable lamas, gurus, are coming. And when they come, they will give extensive empowerment and extensive teaching. Each one of us has the opportunity to participate or not participate. And you have the opportunity to participate deeply and to take every morsel of food that they give, or to eat a little bit here and a little bit there. Anything that you do, so long as you utilize this opportunity to the best of your capacity, is good. It's acceptable. There is no solid, rock-hard teaching as to how much you should actually do. You must do according to what you understand to do. Since we are about to have so much extraordinary teaching and so many opportunities come to us so quickly, I would like to take this time to speak to you in a very comfortable and sort of family way, if I can. Not to give you a formal teaching, although if you have ears to hear, I've already given something of a formal teaching just by telling you what I've told you about these lamas. You could have learned something about devotion if you'd been listening. So there will always be those nuggets there, but I would like to talk to you about how to utilize an opportunity such as this. First of all, when we come to Dharma or come to any spiritual path, we must have come to Dharma or any spiritual path because we are dissatisfied in some way. Some people have a hard time admitting any dissatisfaction with themselves or with their lives. Some people feel that they have almost a duty to maintain a positive attitude about everything. And we feel that that we would somehow humble ourselves or be unkind toward ourselves if we were to admit that we can see that there are things in our lives that we are unhappy with. First of all, I don't think that that is a proper reflection. I don't think that that's a good idea. Because in looking at life from a purely clinical point of view, in a very cold and hard way, one must understand that cyclic existence, that is to say, the cycle of death and rebirth, is a faulted experience. All of the cause and effect relationships that are begun during the cycle of death and rebirth always continue to lead to death and rebirth. There is nothing within the realm of cyclic existence that does not continue to cause death and then future rebirth. No matter what we accomplish during the course of this life, whether we are wealthy or whether we are famous or whether we are beautiful or whether we are healthy, even that health will someday result in our death. So whether or not, however we think about ourselves, we must recognize this vehicle that is called cyclic existence to be faulted. We are capable, if we have the karma, of creating extraordinary happiness. Each one of us during the course of our lives at some point has to have felt deeply satisfied. Perhaps at the beginning of a new relationship when we thought we had finally found the meaning of life. Perhaps at the beginning of a new posting or job or work opportunity that caused us to feel very proud, very good about our accomplishments. Supposing it was at the time of ripening of some great effortful period, that something finally came to fruition and we were able to see that. These are moments of deep satisfaction, and we know ourselves that during those moments of deep satisfaction, if someone were to come up to us and say, let's practice Dharma because everything is faulted here in cyclic existence, we would say, no, 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 not here. I'm having a great time. I'm in love, or I'm working I've just done something wonderful and I'm feeling extremely potent right now, extremely high. We think like that. And what we forget, most of us, is that even during that moment, the causes are already inherent and are ripening to bring about the cessation of that particular circumstance. Everything in cyclic existence that begins will end. Everything. All of the love, all of the relationships, all of the work opportunities, everything is impermanent. Lord Buddha teaches that not only from a single life perspective, but from the perspective of being able to view countless aeons of cyclic existence. What begins will always end. What goes up will always come down. Great nations have risen and fallen. Why should we think that our nation will be any different? It has happened throughout, it is irrefutable that it has happened throughout the course of personal and collective history. Without exception, all circumstances in life lead to death. So how should we view cyclic existence? We have to view it realistically, and we have to understand that it is a faulted experience. Likewise, we take great pride in ourselves and these capacities or interests or aptitudes that we value so highly, thinking we are so smart, we are so deep, we are so profound, we have so many answers. And if we are able to maintain that belief for any time at all, then we obviously have not lived long enough. And that's the only reason why anyone could be arrogant about anything. Because if we live long enough, we will see that all of those circumstances that lead to our pridefulness will surely end. And that, my friends, is normal. So it doesn't cause us really, it shouldn't cause us actually to view ourselves in any negative or positive way, other than to understand that we are sentient beings, that is, feeling beings, experiencing beings that are revolving endlessly in cyclic existence. And that is the name of the game. That's the nature of the beast. That is what's happening. Viewing that without hatred or remorse, perhaps, but with a deep sense of renunciation, we must understand that we should view cyclic existence realistically enough to practice the only possible cessation of that situation. And the only cessation of the experience of cyclic existence, the only cessation of that particular form of suffering, according to the Buddha, is enlightenment. So what we do then during the context of our lives has to be directed toward achieving that state of enlightenment in order to have any value. In our tradition, it is stated that when a person really takes to the heart the refuge vows, which is taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and the Lama as being representative and the vehicle of all three, and when one takes to heart the Bodhisattva vow, which is the vow to transform one's life and all future rebirths into a vehicle by which to end the suffering of others. When one takes those vows to heart, that means remains absorbed deeply in those vows. That even before one determines whether or not one can really live them well, just by taking them in that moment of absorption, one has already accomplished the highest possible end, the highest possible goal. One has already eaten the ripest and richest fruit that one can possibly eat in this precious human rebirth. One has achieved the pinnacle of the precious human rebirth merely by considering those vows, remaining absorbed in them, and thinking that one should accomplish them, having the pure intention of accomplishing them. Why? Is because if one does not view this life as a vehicle to achieve realization, to pacify all of the cause and effect relationships that cause us to remain revolving and lost in cyclic existence, if one does not achieve the means by which to achieve enlightenment, to awaken, even as the Buddha is awakened, to pacify desire, to achieve realization, then the only other thing that one can be doing is to continually invoke and respond to cause and effect relationships that arise only from cyclic existence and therefore can only result in cyclic existence, in its continuation. However, when one decides to practice the path, when one decides to achieve realization, when one offers one's life truly as a vehicle for achieving liberation, one is then instigating causes that do not arise from cyclic existence. These causes actually arise from the very mind of enlightenment itself, because the path that the Buddha teaches does not arise from composers that merely compose things. The Buddha himself, upon achieving enlightenment, then was able to demonstrate the path during the course of his life and his teaching. And that demonstration only came about after his achieving realization. Therefore, clearly, the path arises from the mind of enlightenment. Since the seed is always the same as the fruit, since they are inseparable from one another, since apples never grow banana trees, and you can't plant a brick and hope to raise blueberries, clearly it can be seen that if the seed is birthed from the very mind of enlightenment, from that primordial wisdom state, the result, therefore, would have to be consistent. on the other hand, the causes that we begin through our ordinary perception, or allow others to influence us into beginning through their ordinary perception, these causes arise from cyclic existence. These are not arising from enlightened intention. They are not arising from the enlightened mind. They arise from ordinary view. They can only result in ordinary view. Therefore, when we have the opportunity to take such teachings as are going to be offered here, or to practice a path in whatever way that we can that actually arises from the mind of enlightenment, we should do so immediately. It's very difficult to understand because we live in such a materialistic environment, because we live in such a materialistic world, and because our conditioning and our programming has been so different than what I am saying. In fact, it has been 180 degrees away from what I am saying. We have been taught that the pinnacle of human experience is the accumulation of material goods and power. That the pinnacle of human experience is actually self-aggrandizement. That the more one accumulates of evidence of one's greatness, the more one is convinced of one's bigness, the more experience one has that one can say, "This is my experience," about, the more achievement we have collected. And that's really how we understand it, is collecting achievement. And yet the Buddha teaches us, if nothing else, then by example. When he was given the opportunity to speak of his greatness, even in terms of his greatness as a human being, by being asked, "What are you, a god? Are you a savior? What kind of man are you?" He blew it off, basically, and said merely, "I am awake." Not only by example, but through his teaching, he has demonstrated again and again and again that the only cessation, true cessation of suffering, is enlightenment, and it is consistent with the pacification of all desire and, in fact, all hatred, greed, and ignorance within one's own mind stream. He has taught us again and again and again that this desire to be, this ego fixation, this egocentricity, this clinging, and all of the exaggeration and development and rigmarole that comes after that, in terms of the things that we have to have and the things that we have to be and the things that we have to do, and the constant weaving of the web, this constant building of an artificial structure associated with confirming ourselves, that this can only deepen our narcotic, if you will, dependence upon or fixation within the realm of cyclic existence. We just keep dancing. And his teaching says to us that that is not the way. No matter how fast you dance, no matter how much you move, no matter how well you play the game, no matter how successfully your karma ripens to maintain your game, it can only maintain it temporarily. And karma and its ripening is so vast and rich in its potential that it is completely unpredictable. One can never know how one's karma will ripen tomorrow. So essentially, remaining fixated on cyclic existence in this ridiculous way, we dance like fools on the edge of an abyss, putting all of our eggs in that basket. all of our jewels in that purse. And then we die. Is it a cynical approach that I am taking? I don't think so. And here's why. If I were truly cynical, I would dance better than anyone. I would continue to be involved in this narcotic experience. I could have a great time. I know how. Well, of course, till the karma ran out, but I could try. And my cynicism would be demonstrated by how I let every precious opportunity go untouched. My cynicism would be demonstrated by my lack of faith in the ripening of any cause and effect experience. My cynicism would be demonstrated by my refusal to awaken and my continuation, my continued denial of the experience that is evident right in front of me. Many people refuse to take account for their lives. They refuse to take responsibility that what they do is actually producing something, that what they think, what is in their mind streams, is actually reflecting in their lives. They refuse to take that responsibility. It's the most profound kind of cynicism. There's no potential for happiness in that. You can't do anything. You are powerless under those conditions, utterly and completely powerless. But if, on the other hand, you are a student of the ripening of cause and effect relationships, if, on the other hand, you take responsibility for the content of your mind stream, if, on the other hand, you live with respect for all that is, trying to understand the equality of all that lives, trying to understand how immediately the ripening of the content of one's mind often occurs, and trying to understand that if it does not occur immediately, it will definitely occur eventually. And living in that way so that one can take responsibility, watch one's mind, and live accordingly to the way one wishes to live. That is to say, that if I wish to be happy, I will produce virtue, and that happiness will come. If I wish to eat apples, I will plant apple seeds. That's not a cynical point of view. It's real. Who is the more foolish? The person that walks around saying, I wish I had apples, I wish I had apples, I wish I had apples. You know, wondering where the rainbows are? Or a person who plants apple seeds? What makes sense to you? In that way, one should understand cyclic existence. Not in the materialistic way, but understanding that it is an envelope of experience, a medium in which you are the creator in the sense that you can bring about the causes that bring about results. Not that you're some pie-in-the-sky creator that's up there doing funny stuff that you don't know about. That's ridiculous. But you can create causes that produce auspicious results. Likewise, you can look at your life and study it, and you can know what you were like in your past lives. You don't have to go to a psychic. People come to me all the time. Oh, great one, tell me, what was my past life like? Well, first of all, you must be talking to somebody else. Second of all, look in the mirror. The Buddha himself said, if you want to know what your previous incarnations were like, look in the mirror. Are you beautiful? Then you must have been true. You must have been free of the betrayals that occur in human relationships. Do you have many friends? Are there many that love you? In that case, you must have been particularly kind. Are you able to secure wealth? Not only for yourself, but in order to do what you need to do within the context of your life experience, and able to do that fairly easily? Then you must have been particularly generous in your past. Is your body well and your life force strong? Then you must have saved the lives of others in the past. It's really like that. It's really like that. You really are in the driver's seat. These are the words of the Buddha. These are the teachings of the Buddha. When you hear things like that, doesn't it make you want to take yourself in hand and really utilize the rest of your life in the most extraordinary way? Doesn't it make you want to utilize your life as a vehicle by which to achieve enlightenment? Doesn't it make you want to begin to accumulate the causes that bring the most auspicious results right now, like benefiting others, generosity, meditation, contemplation, recitation, study, teaching, propagating the Dharma, you name it. All of these things, making offerings, all of these things produce now and in the future the happiness that you desire. And all of us have that in common. We all want to be happy. How then are you to understand the opportunity to practice, the opportunity to take teaching so that you can really practice a technology that has brought about good result, has actually brought about the enlightenment of others, not once, but uncountable times? How are you to understand that? You should understand that like you're very hungry, almost starving, and you need to eat, and that's food. You should understand that like you're locked up in a room that's on fire, and there is one door, and that's it. You should understand that opportunity as though it were that door. You should understand that opportunity the way a human being that is stuck on the desert, almost ready to dehydrate and die, would understand the blessing of water. Like that. Because if we just continue as we are, unchanging, then we will just continue as we are, unchanging. And the result of that unchangingness is 100% predictable. We, however, in our intellectually superior, materialistic lives, our rich American lives, have a kind of arrogance that tells us that we don't really have to do this. We don't really have to change. We're great somehow. And so, we find that we are crippled. When you meet Dharma, I will tell you this, when you really meet Dharma, your life will change. Don't ask me. I'm just one person. Ask any of the students that have been practicing here sincerely from the depth of their heart for these years. Your life will change. And I've actually had new students come to me and say, well, does it have to change as dramatically as some of their lives have? No. You could practice peripherally. As I see it, you have two choices. You can either change or not change. You can allow Dharma to do what it's supposed to do, or you can remain as you are. Which one is the safer one? You know, we like to cling to stability because it feels safe. But where is your stability going? Do you know where you are predictably going very soon? To the end of your life. 100% predictable. That and taxes, they say. That's safe? You're happy about that? Think again. Yeah, I'm trying to goad you. You're right. I'm trying to get a rise out of you. I am. Because it reminds me of the story of the good king who was a father. He was a very good father, and he had gone away on a trip, and he came home and he noticed that his house was on fire, was starting to burn. And inside the house were his children, and they were playing with toys. They were having a great time. You know how children get, they're wild with it. They're just into it. They're playing, having a great time. In our day, it will be watching videos. Teenagers will be watching MTV. And he sees that his children are in the house and that they've got to get out of the house. So he runs in the house and he says, come out now with me. Come out, the house is on fire, you're in danger. And the children are intoxicated, they don't care. They're watching TV. They're happy. They're watching it. They're being kids. It's their nature. They're not stupid, they're just kids. So they're watching TV. And the father says, please, please, come out with me. And the children, they blow him off because he's just the father. What does he know? He's an old man. And then he says to them, come out with me now or I will beat you. They say, you're not going to beat us, we're going to watch TV. And then he said, please, I love you, come out with me now. And they blow him off because he's an old sentimental fool. And then finally he walks out of the house and he says, I have toys for you out here, I have a bigger TV, I have a chariot with horses, I have candy, I have music, I have all the toys you could possibly want. Everything you desire is out here. It's really beautiful out here. And of course the children are utterly seduced because it is their nature to be seduced. And so they come out of the burning house and they are safe. When you meet up with Dharma, it's like that. The teacher will try to seduce you, will try to wake you up, will try to get a rise out of you somehow. But when you get out of the house, you'll see what you were looking at. You'll see what you were involved in, and it will scare the potatoes out of you. And not only that, then you will understand that there are no toys out there. No chariots. Daddy was lying. What there is a path, and it's not easy. It's hard work. It's really hard work. But the one thing about Dharma upon which you can rely is that it works. And anything that works has to be potent. It is potent enough to change your life. Not only that, but Dharma cuts like a knife. Don't be thinking you're picking up a lollipop. You are picking up a sword. If it were not meant to cut, it could not cleave away the negative action and obscuration and confusion of aeons and aeons of cyclic existence. It has to cut like a knife. It has to be potent. Yes, you will change. But you have to consider that burning house. What are the alternatives? Why do you remain playing with toys, watching TV in this narcotic experience, when every day is one less day that you have to bring about the causes that bring about the result of the end of suffering? Not only for yourself, but for all sentient beings, because no matter what you think, you cannot help others if you cannot help yourself. You cannot help others if you yourself have not achieved realization, because that is the only help. That help, according to the Buddha, is named enlightenment. So when you consider attending or not attending these teachings, when you consider practicing or not practicing, when you think that you've got everything pretty well aced, think again. Think of the father calling to his children. And think of the children's arrogance in not answering. Nanda.